Good evening. My name is J.W. Alterman, and I'm a graduate of the theater department. Now, the education that I received at Ohio University is directly responsible for the incredibly mediocre success I've achieved thus far as an actor in Los Angeles. In spite of that, I've come back to Athens this weekend to honor a teacher and apparently also to meet my ex-girlfriend's super good-looking husband, which was a wonderful experience. But I am here to honor Denny Dalen. Denny Dalen has had a profound impact on my life and on the lives of hundreds, perhaps thousands of students. I helped to found the Alumni and Friends of Denny Dalen Scholarship Award, given to a graduating acting major to assist them in starting their career. Now, Denny wanted the award to go to the rebel of the class. He wanted the award to go to the student that was interested in forging their own path. And like all good teachers, Denny never led us down the path. He gave us the tools to create our own. So tonight, we're going to read an excerpt from the very first play ever produced in the Forum Theater, a play that Denny directed, and it will be read by two of his former students, one who was actually in that production. And they've both gone on to great acclaim, one in theater and one in law. Our first actor is a 1972 graduate of the School of Theater and Acting. He currently serves as the Chief Judge of the Arlington, Virginia Circuit Court and is a member of the Ohio University Foundation Board, William T. Newman, Jr. We're also very lucky to have our other actor for this evening. She just flew in from Los Angeles. She's a founding member of the Malibu Stage Company, where she is actress and director, Natalie Blossom. Now, before we begin tonight, Bill is going to read a short note that Jonathan Freeman, another alumnus who really wanted to be here tonight, but he's currently on Broadway and couldn't make it tonight, but he sent a note that Bill is going to read before we start the scene.
A word from Jonathan Freeman. In 1968, as a first-year acting student, I was lucky enough to have Dennis Dalen as my acting teacher. I will always remember that he created an atmosphere in our classroom that to this day I use as a yardstick, as an ideal environment for the creative process. The environment I speak of is a classroom where you are not afraid to make wrong choices, not afraid to experiment, not afraid to feel foolish, and most importantly, not afraid to fail. I cannot tell you how important it is for a young actor to be given the security to fail in the privacy of a safe room where you're not being judged, but applauded for taking chances. It gives you courage and a sense of humor about yourself and of freedom. My training at Ohio University School of Theater helped give me a career of which I am proud. I have worked steadily on Broadway, in film and television, off-Broadway, regionally, in concert and in animation. Denny, I'm sorry that I'm not able to be with you tonight in person, to tell you how much I love you and admire you and to say thank you for helping to give me courage and a sense of humor about myself and freedom. Happy 75th anniversary to the School of Fine Arts. Let me say, as a fellow classmate of John Freeman's, I echo those glowing expressions about Denny Dalen. However, for me, Denny was more than a professor. He was a mentor. We would often go and have coffee over in the old Baker Center, where Denny would frequently provide me with advice not only about the craft of acting, but also about life in general. One thing that always stuck with me was the notion that on stage, as well as in life, one must be willing to take chances. I'm someone who left OU and was lucky enough to initially have a recurring role on a daytime soap opera. But after appearing in a number of other productions, I chose a different path and became a trial lawyer. Then I became a politician, and now I serve as the chief judge of the Arlington Circuit Court. But I suggest to you my life is reflective of the advice that Denny gave. Acting, of course, will always be my first passion. In fact, I still try to juggle my schedule to do some acting. However, because of Denny Dalen, I was not afraid on taking a chance in another area of my life that I have become passionate about. My departure from the stage to the stage of life was all due to my willingness to take chances. And I suggest on behalf of all the students who took chances due to the words of Denny Dalen, we say thank you and applaud you.
The scene that they'll be reading is from the night Thoreau spent in jail, which, as I mentioned, was the very first play ever produced in the Forum Theater and one of the very first plays that Denny ever directed. So, ladies and gentlemen, the night Thoreau spent in jail.
Wouldn't it have been dreadful to have lived in the golden age as a hired man, or visited Olympus and fell asleep after dinner and missed the conversation of the gods? Or imagine living in Judea 1,800 years ago and never knowing Jesus was my contemporary. Excuse me, miss, but I think you're a little old to be a member of this class.
A young lady is never too old for anything.
It's just that, well, most of my students here are 12 or thereabouts, and, well, you're not exactly thereabouts.
But does it make so much difference, really? I just want to come along and listen and watch. I won't be any bother or ask any questions.
Why not?
Because my brother, John, he's paying tuition, and he's the only one allowed to ask questions.
There is only one rule in this class, miss. No rules. So, of course, you're welcome to come along anytime you like. What previous educational experience have you had?
Finishing school.
Oh, dear God.
I survived.
I warn you, miss, I am not a finisher. Nobody leaves us with a smooth surface. We rough up the consciousness. We scrape the moss off young minds.
Please, Mr. Thoreau, go back to your students. I've interrupted.
Of course you have. But every creative event that ever happened in the world was an interruption. Unexpected, unplanned for. The only people who ever get any place are those who get lost. That's why the planets are so much more interesting than the stars. For they're always wandering about across the sky, and you never know where you're going to find them. Students, we have another student. Edwin's sister. You have a name?
Ellen.
Our textbook, Ellen, is Haywood's Meadow, approved by the Almighty, if not by the school committee. In this single pasture, there are 300 separate and distinct varieties of grass. I know. I have cataloged them myself. You look down and you say, that's grass. Grass is grass. Ridiculous. You have missed the splendid variety of the show, where there's camel grass, there's candy grass, cloud grass, cowquake, mouse barley, timothy, barnyard grasses, and enough clovers to sweeten all the bellies of all the lambs in creation. Look at this. What would you say it is?
I've never seen it before.
Why, it's Coxla Chromojobi, which means Job's tears. I've never seen a specimen here. Students, midst of 301 varieties of God-made grasses. You're writing.
Just Joe's tears.
Why?
When you go to school, you're supposed to write things down, so you remember what you've been taught.
Well, then it's the notebook that does the remembering, not you.
You keep a notebook?
I also wear a ridiculous straw hat. That doesn't mean that you should wear a ridiculous straw hat. You'd look ridiculous in it. Nature didn't stuff this meadow full of identical blades of grass, each one an imitation of another. They're all different. Follow the leaders, not the game we're playing here, miss. Be your own man.
Well, then, I won't take notes. I promise you. Not one.
Why not? If you want to take notes, go ahead. But not because I'm doing it or because I told you to. Miss, I want you to be yourself. Not your idea of what you think is somebody else's idea of yourself. Perhaps, students, this young woman's interruption has given us the essence of the textbook we call Haywood's Meadow. The multiple grasses beneath our feet. The infinity of the sky above. And if I have jotted down a note about a cloud plane or about sunlight on a bird's wings, don't you write it just because I'm writing. Don't you ape me or copy me. If you wish to merely listen to the sky, or smell the sky, or touch the sky with your fingers, do that too. Because I think there are as many different persons in the world as possible. So each of you, be very careful to find out and then pursue your own way. But be careful of writing. Be careful if you learn to write your own name. Writing your name can lead to writing sentences, then paragraphs, and the next thing, books. And then you'll be in as much trouble as I am.